Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm just planning on getting a little bit of planting done and maybe a little bit of pruning and just general cleanup. I got a couple of new plants down at the garden center the other day that I just love. I've already got them sitting on my cart here, and you can see I've already been doing a little bit of clipping along the way today, and I found a big piece of plastic that blew in a horrid windstorm the other day. But I've got a whole flat of these beautiful foxgloves, pure white. I am gonna, I think, try these on the west side. In our area, they tend to like a little bit more protection from the sun. That area is pretty sunny, so I'm just gonna go look at it and decide if that's where I wanna put them. But these are a biennial, which means they usually only do foliage the first year, they bloom the second year, and then they reseed themselves and start that whole process over again. And I've had pretty good luck with having mine reseed. My parents have had horrible luck having them reseed. So it just kind of depends on where they're at and if they really like it. And the other flat of flowers I have here, look at this, isn't that so pretty? And that's just the beginning. These are called Winky, Dark Blue, and White Double Columbine. Oh my word. 12 to 14 inches tall and wide, zone 4. I planted these columbine in a container, 3 of them, like maybe 3 years ago or something like that, and they got so overcome by spider mites that I ended up just throwing them away because spider mites are really hard to control and eradicate. And I just thought, you know what, these are kind of my host plants. I'm gonna get rid of them so that I don't, you know, perpetuate this huge problem and just keep this thing around that's holding on to mites. So I'm planning on maybe doing some preventative spray with the Mitex, just because I know that this plant is prone to that based on my first experience, that if I can get on top of it beforehand and make it an undesirable plant for the mites, maybe that'll work. So I do need to go grab my Mitex. I'm hoping I have enough left. Found it up in the plant room, so now I need to go gather up my plants and then we'll head out into the garden. So I've already chickened out about planting the foxglove on the west side. I was just looking at it and I just thought, you know what, it's so deceiving right now because right now the sun seems very pleasant and like I want to be in the sun. But come, you know, middle of summer when it's 105 and there's just brutal sun with no cloud cover, no humidity, no rain, I just don't think the foxgloves will really love it right there. So I think I'm gonna plant them near the kitchen door in the flower bed, kind of by this lilac. I think this will be perfect. So I've got the Invincible ruby hydrangeas in a swoop right here, and this area is interesting because you can see the very distinct sun and shade line cast from the house. But in the summertime, with the sun moving more, you know, this direction in the sky, this line moves all the way over here. So this is where the sunny spot will be over, except for the fact that the lilac and the huge locust tree that are overhead will have leaves. So this area will be much more shaded, well, dappled shade. And this spot will get, I think, enough sun for the foxgloves to be happy, but enough protection for them to stay happy as well. So I'm thinking I'll just kind of plant them all around in here. I also have to be mindful about all the perennials that are still in this area because this spot fills up with hostas. In fact, if I can find the picture, I'll throw one up on the screen. I take pictures of this area every year because I just love the way it looks when all the perennials come up. But I do know, I think I know that this little area right in the center is kind of blank-ish and it needed something a little taller. Won't that be beautiful? Oh my word. Let me look around this way. So the drift starts right here and it kind of swirls around back behind this boxwood, kind of underneath the lilac. That'll be so fun to watch grow right there. So now I'm gonna plant them. I also scratched around and found all the hostas just to make sure. Oh, there's a hosta right here. Hosta right here. I gotta move this other one. So that means this one probably needs to move over here. Of course. Here's my fancy camera stand. I just pull whatever is nearby to set my camera up while I'm working, but I did have to move like 4 or 5 of these because I ran into more hostas and other plants while I was at it. So I ended up with quite a nice, just lazy drift. Not like too much of a block. It goes all the way over here and it just kind of swoops gently around the boxwood and then comes this way with one kind of off by itself up there. But I think it'll make it look a little bit more natural and incorporated once the rest of the perennials are up. And my mom and I talk about this every single year, how like this time of year we have to resist the urge to go fill up the truck a bunch of times with new plants because we think that our flower beds seem so empty, but you just have to be patient and wait for your other plants to grow. And so I'm kind of there right now. Like I'm wanting just to pop plants in because I want to see green and I want to see it filled, but I know in even just 1 month, this whole flower bed is going to look way different. So now I'm going to go find a spot for these Columbine. And I'm thinking maybe behind the gazebo somewhere. Can you tell I had zero plan on where anything was going to go today? I am actually the world's worst planner, and I think it kind of annoys Aaron a little bit because he's such a planner. He likes to know like what steps to take next, what's the next project, and I'm like, nah, I don't know, I'll just like figure it out as I go. That's our life. So this is where I'm at, kind of behind the gazebo. We were just right up there by the house, and I'm thinking about putting the Columbine right in here. This area again is full of hostas, like this whole spot back here. There's some hydrangeas in here, a viburnum. There's also some hostas right here. I planted a bunch after our hailstorm last year that just ruined a bunch of hostas. So I just kind of dug them all up and brought them back here. This was kind of like my hosta sick bay area. Some of them survived, some of them didn't, so time will tell. But I'm thinking right in here would be a good place for the Columbine, maybe even incorporating some right around in here, just because these boxes, those are tough because you have to be able to access them, but they are just always in the way, no matter how hard you try to get them out of the way. I'm actually planning on painting one of these irrigation boxes, like the lid and the sides, with black paint. I'm gonna do it on one though that's not clustered together in a big group. I wanna find one that's off by itself just in case it doesn't work. I just wanna see how the paint holds up. I need to go and research what kind of paint is the best. But I think if I painted it black, it would disappear into the flower bed instead of shining so much and showing up. So anyway, I do have a little hedge of Hydrangeas, like right on the edge of this flower bed, the all gold variety that's so pretty. And I think it would be nice though to have some spring color back here. So I'm gonna set them out, plant them, and then we will spray them preventatively with Midex. I really like how this drift turned out. It really brought some life back here before everything wakes up. And it was kind of funny because I decided, well, first I planted one here, and then I decided it needed to be back a little bit because I do want my all gold Hydrangeas to continue on until the very end. So I bumped it back, and then when I went to go plant the second one here, there is a hosta coming up. It's alive and well. So then I had to move both of these because it wouldn't make sense for me to have one on either side without like that, I don't know, the gap bridged with another one back there. So I moved them both over here, and so then I planted this one, and then when I was getting ready to plant this one, there's another hosta right there, which is alive and well. I'm not going to complain about that because I'm excited. I think the contrast of foliage will be beautiful here. So then I moved that third Columbine over here, and I just really like how the drift turned out. So it starts off kind of skinny, gets a little bit thicker, goes behind the juniper, and then ends skinny on the other side. Really beautiful. Then I got them all watered in and sprayed with my Midex, which there's not a whole lot of insect activity going on yet. This says it controls mites, thrips, and aphids. We do have aphids on roses already here because of our mild winter, but no mite activity. But mites are my #1 nemesis in the garden. If I let those get out of control, it is just, there's no controlling them, really. I mean, I can spray and spray and spray, but if I let that population boom in the beginning, I really have a hard time getting on top of it throughout the rest of the season. So I'm going to take a preventative approach this year, and even though it might be a little bit early, I have no qualms spraying this because it's made of cottonseed oil, clove oil, and garlic oil. Like, you can't get more benign than that. And it doesn't even smell bad. That clove oil really does come through, and it smells like cloves over here. So if I can do this every time I plant something that's prone to mites or spray the things that are prone to get it, I think I will stay on top of the issue this year. That's the goal. So now I do have one tree in this area. It's a plum tree that it's really bright back there. Let me move over here and show you. There's a plum tree I planted last spring, I think. No, 2 springs ago. It's a big cis plum, so they don't get very big, and I think I want to keep it more lollipop structure. I don't want it to get really wild, and it's starting to go wild. So we've got our Corinthian lindens sitting back here, but do you see like those really tall branches that are coming off this nicely shaped tree down below? It's not a big prune job. I just want to kind of top that tree right there just to keep it looking nice. And the poor thing really didn't stand a chance because this, you can clearly see this was lined with oaks here, and the tree was growing away from the oaks. So I think I'm gonna just keep it lower, keep it more ornamental, and not let it like do its natural thing. I'll keep it more like topiary lollipop style. Now that I'm looking at it, I might even trim it up more. I might even do this. I think I might like that better. I don't even think I need my pole pruners for this job. I'm just gonna take after it. I gotta go get my falcos though. Look at how these tulips look. This is the Pinatage blend from Color Blends that I planted year before last, and they're coming up strong. Loving it. I hope you guys can see it from this angle good enough. I was trying to find the best angle to where you could see the branches without it being too bright behind it. So here we go. That shape is much better. So I'll just keep it in a nice round spherical shape. These Corinthian lindens don't get super wide, 15 feet, so 7.5 feet in, and they'll likely be pushed a little bit further out into where the driveway area is, because we are going to be widening this flower bed out to about here. So I'm thinking that this plum tree will still be okay right where it's at. And here's a look at it from a different angle. And soon you won't even be able to see the structure of those branches. It'll just be a nice sphere of bloom and then leaves. So I'd probably never attempt to prune a tree or keep it pruned down into a specific shape unless it naturally wants to stay on the small side anyway. Like this, you could almost term as a large shrub. Like it gets 8 to 10 feet tall and wide. And so to keep that in more of a lollipop, more of a topiary shape will be a lot easier, as opposed to like trying to keep a tree that wants to get 40 feet tall by 25 feet wide. There's really, I mean, you can trim those. There are like pleached trees that people keep trimmed, but I don't want that kind of a pruning chore to do all of the time. So anyway, I think that this was a good solution to a really malformed tree. The last thing I really want to get done today is I've got 3 more bare root roses I need to get planted, and then I want to tie up an arborvitae. And by tie up, I literally mean tie up. So this is an arb that was here when we moved in. When the elm tree fell down and broke this fence, it also fell on the arb. And I don't have the heart to pull it out yet, just because it's something big and it's green and it's just at least something there. We're not ready to tackle this space back in here yet. Maybe this year, maybe not. So I figured I'd get in there and maybe like stake it or tie it up somehow. I don't know. I just want to fix that gap. I need to go regroup with my cart though first. I need to get rid of the stuff I've got and get some new supplies. All right, I've got my falcos and my tree rope, and I'm going to see what I can do with this arborvitae. I don't normally make a habit of tying my plants together, but I think in this case, since I know the arborvitae is going to be going at some point, tying is a good option. That doesn't look half bad. I'm actually a little bit surprised. And that might make that one branch that was kind of hanging off to the left there harden, so that I can even take the string off later on in the season. It might recuperate the tree a little bit. Let me show you how I did it. So first off, I tied my tree rope, which this tree rope is really soft. It's not good for a long amount of time. Like it probably would be best even for like the branch portion if I had a strap, a proper tree strap, but in this case I don't, and I wasn't planning on keeping this plant forever. So I tied it to the fence post first and then took it up around the branch and just like pulled with all of my might. That branch was heavy and it was already wanting to stay the way it was. It was not wanting to come back up. So I'll let that stay tied up for a little while and just see what happens. Let me show you from the other side. I mean, not great, but totally fine and way better than it was before. So now I'm gonna go grab the last 3 roses I wanna plant today. They're called BATHSHEBA and they're a climbing rose. They're beautiful, and I actually think I'm gonna space them down this fence line and plant them here because I think that'll be really pretty to have a little bit of uniformity coming through the fence, like in terms of color. I actually might come through a little bit later and make a little bouquet out of these branches because they are about ready to bloom. And that would be pretty to enjoy those inside a little bit. And here they are, complete with daisy and veronica flower. These poor roses have been sitting in this water for like 3 days. The instruction says to let them soak for a few hours, and I just have not had time. I got 15 out of 18 planted. So these 3 just had to wait. Sometimes that happens. It seems to be maybe a little bit impossible to get these spaced out exactly proper because the arborvitaes aren't spaced right. I don't know. So I think what I'll do is just find a nice open position. Like this looks really nice right here, doesn't it? It's nice and open, there's nothing around it. So I might pop one right there, one possibly right in here-ish, and then another one right here. I want to remove that rose. I don't really want to do that today, but I might. This is a bright, like orangish red, and I don't love it. One down, 2 to go. Okay, so there's the last one. I decided to wait on this. I'm going to take it out, but just not today because it's getting very close to dinner time and I need to go in and start dinner. So anyway, I think that these will look really pretty. There's the last one. Let me show you the other one. It's kind of in this area where I planted the hydrangeas last year. It's right there. I did have to move one veronica, so not bad. And then the first one is between those first 2 roses there. Wouldn't it look amazing to have this entire fence covered with BATHSHEBA roses? Like a whole bank of them. I think that would be just so absolutely gorgeous, but I think starting with 3 is great. We'll see how they do this summer. We'll see how much they bloom and how long they bloom and all of that thing before we make a decision that big, and see how they winter over as well. And then go ahead and decide what we're gonna do with this space. Besides, I mean, we may end up taking this fence out and doing something completely different. We might eliminate the flower bed here or make it bigger. I'm just not sure what we're gonna do quite yet. We have some thoughts and ideas, but you know, those are ever changing. We have so much going on up in the front in our new property that this will probably take a back seat for a little while. And so in the meantime, I want to fill up these beds with pretty things because I do love this area. I love the rest it provides, you know, because there is a lot of lawn and then there's the urn in the middle of the grass and then the fountain right in front of me. Let me show you. There's the fountain with the boxwoods and they are just jam-packed with nepeta, but also with alliums. Look at all of those. It is going to be a magnificent show. I cannot wait. But I do love this area and I will keep the center. We'll probably do something new here because you know that we broke the fountain, like not once but twice. But I like the rest that this garden provides, just having the flower beds on the outskirts and then some breathing room, some grass, I think is so important. But what's funny, I just learned this from the previous owners. So I think it was the grass on the outside used to be gravel. It was just grass in the middle. So they reseeded and they weren't sure what kind of grass was in the middle here. And so the winter does different things to these two different types of grass. I mean, eventually it'll all look the same and it'll all be green, but every winter the outer ring gets more brown than the inner ring. Super weird. So that's gonna be it for today's video. I am gonna go inside and make a butternut squash and turkey chili because that sounds really good right now. And I think Benjamin just got up from a nap. I just got an alert. So anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out today watching this video. I hope you're having a really great day and we will see you in the next one. Bye.